And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Howdy everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at an expansion for Fantasy Realms called Fantasy Realms The Cursed Hoard. Very small little box here. Fantasy Realms, as I said in my review of that game, it has 53 cards, and the amount of work it can do with 53 cards is phenomenal. That being said, I wouldn't mind seeing more cards, and that's what this one does. This adds two modules. One is more cards, and another is cursed items. You can add them both or separately, up to you. Let me show you. There are two sections to this expansion. One adds more cards. So there are three new suits of cards. My favorite of these suits are the undead, because these give you points for things in your discard pile. Like the Spectre gives you points for every wizard, artifact, and outsider in your discard pile. +7 for every weapon or army. +4 for all those. +5 for those in the discard area. So that's kind of fun, working with the discard area. Then we have buildings. Buildings are fairly normal things. They just give you sums for undead and buildings and, other cards that you have. It's kind of like a basic set. And then we have the weirdest set here, the Outsiders. These are some of the more risky cards in the game. So, for example, the Judge gives you 10 points for every card that has a penalty you haven't gotten rid of. And then this blanks all kinds of stuff. It's 45 points. It blanks it if you only have one of a card. The Leprechaun here, at the end of the game, you draw the top card and whatever it is you get. The Angel stops you from blanking another card, which is really cool. And the Genie, which is negative 50 points. But at the end of and it's +10 for each other player. So it's not as awful. Let's say if you're playing 4 players, it's only negative 20. And at the end of the game, you can look through the deck and take one card. Is that worth the negative points? Possibly. If you use these cards, there's some other cards that are added to the set. There's a garden that exists, just a new land, but you replace some things, and that's mostly just to add other things. Like this blanks all buildings, all lands except mountains, and all flames except lightning. This blanks all armies, all buildings. So buildings are added to this that are blanked. So things like that, like the wild shapeshifter now. Just now it can also be an undead and things like that. So they're just new cards that will essentially, they add the keywords on the older cards. If you play with these extra cards, the deck is bigger now. So you will have a hand of 8 cards and score 8 cards at the end of the game. Also, the game is only triggered when there are 10 cards in the discard pile 12 cards as opposed to 10. The other thing in this set are cursed cards. It comes with a little deck here of cursed items. At the beginning of the game, everybody gets one of these. They almost always have negative points on them. I think there's 1 or 2 that have positive points on them. And the negative points go from 1 all the way up. There's this negative 30 here. On your turn, you can, when you have one of these, you can do nothing, always. Or you can say, I don't want this anymore, get rid of it, and take a new one. And each turn, you can just keep replacing them if you want. Or you can use them. So this one, for example, lets you draw 2 cards from the deck, then discard any 2 cards. Fantastic. But then I flip it over to show that I used it and draw a new one. This one's only -2, so not as powerful. The ones that are here is the one that's worth 5 points, so that's not nearly that powerful. But the ones that are worth, like this one here is -20, but it lets you skip your discard phase this turn, so it gives you an extra card for the end of the game. At the end of the game ends as normal. These cards don't affect it. They go to a different discard pile. You're going to take all the ones you turn face down, and those are subtracted from your final score. That's it. All the components for this game, they come with a little tiny rule book. They all fit in the original box, which is great. They're also easy to distinguish and take out. They have like this little skull here at the bottom that you can sort them out. And because they replace the original cards, if you're someone who's going to always play with at least the card part of the expansion, which I think would be a decent amount of people, you could just take these out of the box and put them somewhere else, the ones you replace. And you could play with or without this. It doesn't matter for the extra cards. Folks, I'm hesitant to say this is a must-get expansion, but it's definitely one that I always want to play with. I like having the extra things out there. Yes, it dilutes the deck slightly, but since you have 8 cards and we wait till there's 12 out there, and there are more ways to maybe even get in that deck, I don't mind the extra cards. And I don't know. Like I said, the undead are cool because they manipulate what's happening out there in the pile. And in fact, if I discard an undead and I pick it up, and you saw the one I picked up says +5 for each army and leader out there, that might make you hesitant to throw your own army and leader out there. That part of this expansion, slam dunk, more cards, great, easy, fun, terrific. I like them, and those outsider ones are so weird. That -50 point one might be worth it if you need to get that extra card to give you 100 points. Fun, interesting, different. For the other one, the curse items, I like this, not as much. It's a little bit fiddlier in the sense that it's going to slow the game down partially. As you draw cards and do different things, you're going to be slowed down as you read the different cards. But here's the thing. If you don't like these curse items, you never have to use them. You're never going to get negative points. You have to sit there and go, are the negative points I'm going to get worth whatever this action lets me do? I mean, there's all kinds of things. So, for example, here, I might say, I can pick at the top card of the deck before deciding whether to draw it or from the discard area. That's a useful thing. Is that worth -2 points? Maybe. I'm not sure. I like that. It gives you some good thought, good decision. I wouldn't want to play with these all the time, maybe. I'll play with the extra cards all the time. These I might play with 50% of the time, but I'm happy to do so. And like I said, if someone else wants to play with them, it might give them a slight edge, but again, you can completely ignore them. And the onus is on you to make sure the points that you get from using these cards equals the negative points that they're worth. So a nice little expansion, a lot of bang for its buck, just like the original game. So that's the Curse Hoard. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time. Dice Tower Judgment, excellent.